You're listening to the best of the Morning X, dropping back into the interview from a few moments ago. This is the original 99X.
Hey, this ain't no Barbara Walters interview. I'm not going to ask you what kind of tree you'd want to be.
I would never plan this
Woody
much for
Harrelson.
an interview. I would just show up.
Wait a minute. This is from, hang on, this is from Interview Magazine. All right, Interview Magazine. Woody Harrelson. Monogamy is, to me, one of the most confusing things about getting married. People from my mother to whoever are always asking me when I'm going to get married, especially now that I've got 2 kids. At least in the traditional... You hating this, aren't you?
No,
At least in the
I'm so
traditional
interested.
understanding of what marriage is, I can't figure it. Are we both going to sign a legal document saying that we're bound to each other and that we can never be without anyone else physically because that's the great betrayal?
I do ramble on.
So, I mean, you know.
Well, okay. You guys are so fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I should not talk anymore about the subject of marriage because, look, there's nothing I can say that's actually going to do anything but get me in more hot water.
Right.
And which is, you talked about an interesting life. The only reason my life's been interesting is because I never can keep my mouth shut when I should. So this is one of those times I should.
Well, let me just tell you, you're in Atlanta, Georgia, where there are 4 women to every man in this town.
What are you trying to incite?
I'm just saying. This is,
I can't wait until my wife hears this, man. I'm going to play this all 4. I'm going to say Jimmy was trying to get me 4 girls to every guy. I mean,
Look at him putting
I
the
never even
stats
thought
out
about
on
it,
the
honey,
table.
before he mentioned it, and then he took me out on the town, and
Okay.
sure enough, 4-1.
one of the things that I've always liked about your work is that you are not afraid to take characters, it seems, that are less desirable, maybe not the most attractive people. Is that something by design? Do you look for characters like that?
Yeah, it just seems to me it's more interesting to play someone who really doesn't deserve to be a hero but does something heroic than it is to play, just your average hero. That, and I never get offered the hero roles. I mean, it's those 2 factors, really.
That's part of it.
Hey, what's your most prized possession, Woody Harrelson? Not a person.
Let's see.
Like your
physical,
old antique guitar or your...
Well, I do have an antique guitar. Yeah, that's nice, but it's not that big a prize to me. I don't know. I really don't prize much in the way of physical possessions.
You seem like a stripped down guy. You've got your place. You just hang out. You're not like the stereotypical actor Hollywood guy.
I've tried dressing up in suits and wearing sunglasses, and it just doesn't seem to work for
Not
me.
you.
So I stay with the laid-back hick approach.
Yeah.
I got my T-shirt and short type
Now,
of thing.
so you're living in Costa Rica still?
Yeah, I try to get down there as often as possible. I try to get out of the city as much as possible, although I seem to spend a lot of time in the city for someone who wants out.
Do you live in L.A. or New York or where?
I stay in L.A. a lot.
You play a lot of sports, don't you?
Yeah, I play hoops
Mhm.
about 4 times a week, probably 5 times a week.
So what's the biggest project right now? What are you doing, the tree thing or the industrial hemp deal or what's on the forefront?
Well, the thing I've been focusing on, definitely I want to see industrial hemp legalized in this country because I don't think we need to cut down trees, particularly ancient trees. But we don't need to be cutting down trees for paper. We don't need to be using petroleum for plastic. So hemp is a great alternative.
When did you get into all this? When did you start taking a stand for it and speaking out on it? And what inspired you to do it?
It started, me and Pete. Pete used to run Greenpeace, and he and I, at one time when he was working for Greenpeace still, we worked together on trying to stop. There was like 6 million acres in Montana being basically given to the timber and various extractive industries to do what they would with it in national forest. And so we were trying to get that stopped, and that's when, I remember going on Larry King Live one time saying, please don't cut down the trees. And you can't just say that because there's a lot of people whose jobs are involved, and I respect that. But what we have to do is really we have to offer an alternative. And that's when I read The Emperor Wears No Clothes and found out about industrial hemp. And I got excited about that. So And the other thing is the ancient trees. You know, I just feel like in this country, we shouldn't be cutting down any more ancient trees. A tree gets to be, well, let's say it was here at the time Columbus rediscovered America. We ought to say, hey, okay, you get to stay. You know, you've been around 400 years. You've been around 1,000 years. Certainly you get to stay. But there's some people, like in Northern California, who look at a 1,000-year-old tree and say it's just that much more for the, for the decking or the furniture or whatever it is I'm going to be making from it.
By the way, Pete, who he mentioned, is Peter is it Cahuth? Is that Bayhuth, I'm sorry. Peter is the executive director of the Turner Foundation, who has done some nice stuff with 99X.
You guys don't do much. You just donate like $25 million a year to different. I mean, that's really not stepping up.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
More of this interview you don't want to miss is back in minutes on the best of the morning X 99X.